Hey everybody, welcome back. And also for all those new people that have just recently joined, I welcome you, and I'm going to go over what I plan on doing on my 26-foot Olympic XL. It's been a big journey and a lot of issues with it, but I kind of just told myself I'm going to fix it, and I don't care what it takes. So I'm going to stick with it and make it to its full potential like it used to be, or should have been at least. So I got this boat about a year and a half ago. I saw it sitting in a farmer's field since high school, and I've always looked at it. I've always loved it. So I got the courage up to drive down his driveway one day and ask him if he was willing to sell it. He was. So his starting asking price was $5,000. I kind of asked him what's his low bottom dollar after looking at the boat. He said $3,500. So he dropped down $1,500. After looking at it, there was a bunch of issues with it. The deck was rotten. The inside of the cabin is okay, but there's pretty much rot all the way up inside the cabin on the floor or on the deck. So I said, okay, well, I can't pay $3,500. And he goes, okay, $2,500, and that's the lowest I'll go. I actually ended up talking to my wife, and we contemplated it for a couple weeks, and I ended up having to tell the guy no. Well, the guy had my number, and he texted me the following morning. I wake up to a text that says $1,000 and it's yours. So this is one of those things I couldn't pass up, so I agreed on the $1,000, and that's where it all started. The boat was a ton of work to do. I'm all the way down to the shell right now. When I first started, I thought it was just the deck that was rotten, but pretty much everything I've touched on this boat has been rotten and pretty much fallen apart in my hands. I got down to the balsa coring. The balsa coring is wet, and for me, I've never seen anybody actually do the balsa coring or know of anybody that's done it personally. So I was kind of like, well, I have nothing to really ask questions on. So I kind of was in the dumps, but I thought about it for a few days, and I decided just to try it out. And it was a first. It's a first for everything. So I removed all the balsa coring. I'm really glad I did, because this boat is going to be brand new. There's not going to be a single piece of wood except for the cabin. So that is something I'm looking forward to. So as of right now, it's just the complete shell, but we're gonna go over what I plan on doing with it, and I'll show you guys upside the boat what it looks like right now. So as you guys can see, this boat is very oxidized. The anti-fouling, there's been a couple layups of that. There's been some repairs. It's definitely not a pretty boat as of right now, but my plan is I'm going to sand it all back down, get down to good gel coat, fix all the repairs, get it nice and smooth, and fair it out. And then I'm going to gel coat the entire boat. So I'm going to take the anti-fouling off, and I'm going to try to do exactly what the boat came with. So as you guys can see, it's the gray right here, and then a white bottom. And I'm planning that it's going back to the exact same color as it was, or pretty close. This is the anchor. So what I plan on doing is put a windlass system up here when I can afford to, because they're not cheap. This will help me be able to drop anchor in high wind areas, and the Pacific Northwest is known for winds and rough water, so it's a good thing to have. But I'm looking forward to putting that on when the time comes. But all these windows up here, they have been brush painted. It doesn't look powder coating, it just looks like somebody brushed some paint on it. So I'm going to be taking all the windows out when it comes time, and replacing the seals and painting the entire trim part, either with powder coating or a good probably paint for window trim. It's aluminum. So as you guys can see, there's no cabin doors anymore. I've gutted pretty much everything in here that has any bit of rot, so I can start from square one. All these windows are put back in place, and they're all going to be taken out, resealed, siliconed, or whatever sealing compound I plan on using. Probably taking off the railings when I paint it or gel coat it, and it's going to be a brand new boat after this is done. It's going to be a ton of work, but it's a complete 100% restoration. There's pretty much not going to be anything on this boat that I haven't touched, so I'm really looking forward to designing it the way I want, but still keeping the Olympic name and Olympic layout. Making our way to the transom. This is after fairing the brand new Cusa board. There's 3 layers of 1-inch Cusa board that I've installed. and then I ferret it out, and then all I have to do is do some final touches and gel coat the back after priming it and start gel coating. But I showed how to do the whole transom at least the way I did it. There's an episode or two on ferring and glassing this in. There's quite a few layers of 1708. I really bonded it together and it came out really nice. What I did is I had a straight edge pretty much laid up against the whole hole from side to side, up and down, crossways, and I made it so you couldn't even put a playing card between any surface area because I wanted it that flat. Because there's going to be an offshore bracket. It's going to be attached to the side or attached to the back, and then with the offshore bracket I'm going to be putting a 300 Suzuki dual prop, so it's the props spin opposite of each other, so it's called the dual prop. You can look it up, I'll post a picture too. But the offshore bracket, it's going to be made by PDR up in Bellingham, Washington, and they seem to be making one of the best brackets and the best looking brackets in my opinion. This is what I have done up to this point. I have sanded everything down, so all I have to do is just put down new glass and tie in the transom I just did. I'll show you guys that in a second, but I'm going to tie everything in so it's all stitched together, so everything is kind of holding each other together. But it's going to be a ton of work, but it's going to look really good when it's done, hopefully. So this is the Coosa transom I just recently did. I think, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos ago. It's all in there. There's 3 layers of it. And my plan is I'm going to be tabbing everything in place into the hole. And up here you can see it's kind of staggered. I'm going to trim that all flat around the edges. And I'm going to be glassing everything in and tailing it into the sides, into the hole. And it's going to be really strong. And that's what this is overbuilt, but this is better to have a overbuilt boat than an underbuilt boat. So I'm happy with how it turned out, and I'm looking forward to glassing this in and getting the rest of this boat started. So when going back with the deck and the stringers, I'm going to be using all composite materials, so it's non-absorbing. But my first step is, when I go back through, is I'm going to be using the Vitacell H as a coring material. It's going to be 1/2 inch. And I'm going to be glassing in probably 2 layers down on the existing hole right now, and then putting the Vitacell H down, and then either doing 2 or 3 layers of the 1708 on top of it to seal it all in. It's going to be all kind of tied in, stitched together into the transom, but also glassed in separately, but they are holding each other in. After I get the coring material in, I'm going to be coming through and putting the stringers in. It's all going to be Coosa. I haven't decided on which width for the Coosa, if I'm going to laminate them together and make it like 1.5 inches, what they were previously when I removed them. And I'm going to be putting these in the exact spot that the existing or the old existing stringers were, and I'm going to be making the deck height the exact same because I have a 90-gallon fuel tank that runs right down the middle where this ladder's at. So you can see right here, this is where the old deck was, where the color change was. I still need to sand the old gel coat off, and that's going to be the lay-in of the deck. Once you get the Coosa stringers in, the Coosa deck in, the Coosa deck is what I plan on using for the decking material all the way through the cabin and everything for the deck part of it, at least. After the deck's in place, I'm going to be coming through, putting everything in the same layout pretty much, except for the bathroom. As it's sitting right here, you can see the window right there, but also has the same on this side. So what my plan is I'm going to be moving the bathroom to the port or the starboard side. Once I get that in place, then I'm going to have more room for the table, and I'm going to have a table and then a forward facing seat at the very front for the passenger. But right here, if you go all the way up, right on the back side of this window, right here, this was where I had the cabin door. The cabin doors were removed and they were stored up there, up on my loft, so I can make a template. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm really looking forward to it. And then when I get the doors put in place, I'm going to be building a second helm station and I'll be doing the mold or building the entire console myself from scratch. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. And that's going to be a pretty sweet setup because it's all going to be a fly-by-wire for controls on the motors. And this steering station is going to be trolling the big motor and the controls for the trolling motor. As you guys are walking into the cabin of the boat, the 90-gallon fuel tank ends to about right here. And this is where it drops down in the walkway for inside the cabin is. And then you can go to the front bunk area, captain's chair, and then in the front, you're gonna have a forward-facing seat right through here. And then you're gonna have a rear-facing seat for sitting at the table and a forward-facing for sitting at the table. And the person's head's gonna be about right there for forward-facing. That's the layout of that. But the bathroom was originally right here. But I'm gonna move it to this side on the starboard. The starboard side is gonna make it so the prep kitchen area with the sink and the stove is a little bit smaller, but I'd have more seating than prep area for a kitchen. I'm gonna have that prep area. It's gonna have a sink and a stove all in one. It's kind of the same location. You can see the drain tube right there. It's the same location as it was before. It's just gonna be a little bit shorter. And then I'm gonna have an air ride suspension seat for the captain's chair. And then I'm gonna be taking this part out, or at least designing it different so it's a flat face. And I'm gonna have all touchscreen electronics. I'm gonna have some mechanical gauges because you know how electronics work. I rely on mechanical gauges. I don't know if people call it old school, but it's just the way I like to roll. So I'm gonna have majority of a touchscreen, and then I'm gonna have a couple mechanical gauges for fuel, speedometer, that's the necessary things. And up here, I'm gonna be keeping the same layout. Just need to clean up a little bit in here, but I'm gonna probably change the layout just a tiny bit, but pretty much leave it the exact same. I'm just gonna make the layout just a little bit different, or a different look. So there's gonna be probably a radar up there if it's not right here. But I'm gonna be doing a lot of work to this, so this area is probably gonna be the thing that I'm gonna change probably multiple times in my head, but I want it done the first time, and I also see other designs that I've liked and incorporate that into my build. Right through here, this is the bunk area. This is gonna be probably sleeping, you could probably sleep 4 people. My dad has a boat very similar to mine. His is just a 20-foot instead of a 26, but the cabin, and not the cabin, but the bunk area is the same size. It's a good layout. I've slept in here with my sister and my parents when I was younger, and we all slept pretty comfortable. So I'm looking forward to being able to sleep my whole family. And then also, my favorite thing about this boat is, I'll show you guys a picture from when I was demoing this boat, is that this side cushion right through here, this lifted up, it swiveled to make a table all the way across, and then you put a bar down to the seating station after you lay the table down, and it makes a bunk bed. And I thought that was probably one of the coolest things I've seen incorporated into a boat. I have 3 kids and a wife, and it's very hard to accommodate everyone, and this is definitely one way to do it. So that's one thing I really am looking forward to incorporating back into this boat. So now for the exterior of the boat. This is a 1978 trailer. So this is 10 years older than the boat itself. This is not the original trailer, because I think from seeing the anti-fouling, I think this boat was stored in water for a certain amount of time, and then they decided to pull it out, so they bought this trailer. So I'm not entirely sure on the story of it, but this is kind of what I'm assuming, since the trailer is older than the boat is. But for what my plan is, I'm going to be taking this trailer all the way down to bare bones, and I'm going to be getting it sandblasted and re-galvanized. This is going to be a complete overhaul. So the surge brake actuator, that's going to be replaced. There's a whole kit you can get, so it's all in one. I think it's made by Titan, and you can run all new lines. It's going to be all new disc brakes. I'm going to be putting new fenders on here. So these are old 1978 fenders, and they are very how do I say it, not very good shape. So I'm going to take these off. I'm going to be putting the rounded fenders either galvanized or a straight I'm not entirely sure what I'm planning on doing, but I like the galvanized rolled look, and then that step between the two tires. But this is all going to be sanded back down. New tires, new wheels, new disc brakes, new lines. It's going to have LED lights, and everything is going to be restored. We'll be putting on probably new easy loader rollers. Haven't quite decided on that, but it's going to be a complete overhaul. I've looked at the cost of a new trailer and the cost of restoration, and I think as the time being right now, the restoration is definitely the cheaper option. You guys have heard me talking about this 90-gallon fuel tank. This is the 90-gallon fuel tank I just got made. The original one was pitted out, really rough shape. So I went up north to Mount Vernon, Washington, to Peter Zilka's. Shout out to them. They did a fantastic job. Very well priced, very nice guys. I've worked with them in the past. They've done nothing but exceptional work, and I can't praise them enough. But this tank is way overbuilt, and then it's very nice, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. So if you guys are looking for a fuel tank in the Pacific Northwest area, heat up Peter Zilka's. So I'll put a link to his website and contact info down below in the description. So I want to answer a few questions that have kind of popped up recently. I put a Q&A up on the community page on my YouTube and also the Instagram. So I'll answer a couple of those. The most recent one was, what was the biggest surprise of this whole deal? My response would probably be how rotten this boat is. Like I said before, the deck was pretty much what I thought was going to be rotten. Maybe the stringers, but I really was not expecting the coring material to be rotten, soaked full of water. When I removed it, the coring material weighed twice as much as the coring material should dry, so it was holding a ton of moisture, so that weighted the boat down a lot. So that's probably the biggest surprise. But for me, this whole experience has been probably the knowledge I've gained through doing everything, because if I would have just done the deck, I would have got all the knowledge of knowing how to do all this fiberglass work, how to remove certain things, and just kind of how long things take to do on a boat, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of money to do this, and I'm just now removing all the stuff. So it's a ton of work, but I'm really glad I did it, because my time is free for myself. If I was to pay someone else to do it, yeah, it'd be a lot of money, but this is my first time doing anything like this, any boat wise. So this is kind of a video for everyone to show them that even though you don't have any experience, you can still do this. It's got to do a ton of research, and it's got to put a lot of time into it, and you'll eventually get to what you want to do. How expensive was a single item? Probably boat motors right now. I just dropped almost, it's probably going to come out to around $39,000, $40,000 just in motors and controls. I went with the 300 dual prop from Suzuki, the 22. That is brand new motors, brand new 9.9 kicker, Suzuki, and it's a you can do it a lot cheaper, but I went with what I wanted, and that is the 300 dual prop. Has higher torque. I've heard nothing but good things about them. There's always negative comments, but you're always gonna have that in every crowd. But that's probably the most expensive thing I've had on this channel that I've just recently purchased, and that should be coming here probably the next like 6 or 7 months. So it's a huge lead time for motors, but the dealer I went with, Performance Marine in Everett, great guys. They helped me out, and they're a really good dealer. So they order quite a bit of motors and parts from Suzuki, so they usually get first dibs, besides Florida, obviously. So it's a lot easier to get motors from them. So if you guys are looking for new motors, hit up Performance Marine in Everett, and there's a guy named Bud. He's the dealer, and he's a great guy to work with, so hit him up. I can put their contact info down below in the description. And then the final question was how I've been responding to the responses on my videos. I've had nothing but great people telling me how they like the builds. You always get the negative comments once in a while, but very, very few. And most of the time they're just trolls, so they're just looking for a response, and I usually don't give it to them. So you guys have been nothing but supportive to me, supportive to my channel, and ultimately this is supporting my family in our adventures that we're eventually going to be going on, because you guys are helping me do this build. It doesn't help me do the entire build cost-wise, but every time you guys are watching my videos, it's supporting me and supporting this boat build. So I want to thank you guys so much for doing this. Like it truly means a lot to me, and it's a crazy experience to know how many people watch these videos, and it's a lot of support. So I want to say thank you to you guys, and I also want to say thank you to all you service members. I've said it in my last videos, but I want to say it all the time. I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff without you guys. So thank you, y'all. I'm really excited to get going on this project. I'm really looking forward to finishing it up and putting this thing in the water. So I will see you guys in the next videos. Stay tuned for the next rebuild, and we'll get to it. Thanks, guys.